I want to talk about the process of accomplishment and specifically about the point at which where you can attain the most growth. This was on my mind the other day when I was listening to an interview with David Bowie on the marginalian.org. David Bowie was born in 1947, and he died recently in 2016. And from Wikipedia, just a little background on him, so this will have a little better context. He was an English singer, songwriter, musician, and actor. A leading figure in the music industry, he is regarded as one of the most influential musicians of the 20th century. Bowie was acclaimed by critics and musicians, particularly for his innovative work during the 1970s, when Brian Bailey was ending high school, starting college. His career was marked by reinvention of visual presentation, and his music and stagecraft had a significant impact on popular music. Come on, there we go. And there he is. In 1997, at age 50, he gave a television interview about the soul of creativity and the artistic process. The interview included his most direct advice to artists and the closest thing he ever formulated to a personal creative credo. Let's view a portion of this interview. So let's do that here. Oh, hello, Lava. Okay. Oops, hold on. And here he is.
Never play to the gallery, I think. But you never learn that until much later on, I think. But never work for other people at what you do. Always remember that the reason that you initially started working was that there was something inside yourself that you felt that if you could manifest it in some way, you would understand more about yourself and how you coexist with the rest of society. And I think it's terribly dangerous for an artist to fulfill other people's expectations. I think they generally produce their worst work when they do that. And if the other thing I would say is that if you feel safe in the area that you're working in, you're not working in the right area. Always go a little further into the water than you feel you're capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth. And when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting.
Hi everyone, Mark Barden here at Sandy Hook Promise. On December 14th.
Hold on.
I don't know what that was, but
well, when you don't
Okay.
have a paid membership, you get commercials.
Yeah, that's a commercial. Sorry. Am I back right now? Okay.
Yes,
good.
you are.
Okay, let's go back to sharing. Something different.
that was a very interesting point he made.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's see, slide 4. Hold on. Okay, that's what we just talked about. You know, I really liked what he said, and I think, Darlene, that's what you were going to mention. What he had to say about the point at which the most productive growth in our lives occur. And he said, if you feel safe in the area that you're working in, you're not working in the right area. Always go out a little further into the water than you feel you're capable of being in. Go in a bit out of your depth, and when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting. And that's why my talk is entitled The Right Place. Let me give you a couple of examples out of my life. My wife, Terry, and I have been asked by our children and the children of our friends and some of our student tenants, what are the things that you regret most in your lives? We each had a version of not doing something that would have facilitated exciting new growth because it was new and uncomfortable. When I was 18 and attending Santa Barbara City College, there was an opportunity to attend a Spanish immersion program in Mexico for the summer. through the college. I thought this would be the perfect opportunity, and it would have been, to develop my Spanish language conversational skills so there would be little opportunity to use English. It's 100% immersion. You lived with a family. You met daily. You did not speak English. But I was smitten with a new girlfriend. I was concerned that the relationship might falter if I was gone all summer. And so I didn't attend the program, and I ended up breaking up anyway. If I would have made that leap, I would be far more conversant in Spanish than I am today. Que lástima. Another example. This also made me think of my gym trainer. The advice my gym trainer had given me about the process of becoming stronger. Normally, I default to doing sets on machines and free weights in a set number of repetitions to the point where it became slightly challenging, and then I moved on to the next machine or weights. I figured that would help me lose some weight in my stomach, make my arms, legs, chest, and back muscles stronger. You know, it did work for that. I did firm up, but I wasn't getting the results I had hoped for. I decided to pay for some sessions with a trainer to figure out why things were not going the way I had hoped. He had me describe what my goals were and show him my usual routine. He gave me some instructions on how to better isolate the areas I was working on with each exercise and some new exercises that would develop the areas I really wanted to change. And keep in mind, this was in the early 1980s. I still use some of those exercises. Here's my after shot. Looks like my hair has changed color. Anyway, then, this is important. He gave me some excellent advice. He said that doing what I was doing was with better attention to technique would work fine for maintaining strength. However, if I wanted to increase muscle mass and strength and profoundly change my body, guess what? I was going to have to do more reps. He said, what really mattered, what really would produce results were those last extra reps. Those were the reps I would do after I was almost exhausted. He said that those are the most important segments of the workout and the ones that mattered most if I wanted to accomplish my goals. And I did that. This became the hardest, most uncomfortable part of my workouts. I dreaded going in because I was no longer in my comfort zone. But it worked. Over time, I was able to shrink my stomach and expand my shoulders, chest, and upper back. I thought of this today when David Bowie said, go a little bit out of your depth. And when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting. So, if you genuinely want to achieve a goal that is important to you, make that leap. Go that extra mile. Do those extra reps. Work just a little bit harder than your competition. Just get a bit out of your comfort zone. You don't have anything to lose but complacency and mediocrity and everything to gain. What's the lesson today from this? Just what David Bowie said. If you feel safe in the area that you're working in, you're not working in the right area. Always go out a little further into the water than you feel you're capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth. And when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting.